Greetings and salutations, my fellow Illumineers. It is me, your boy JDZ, and I'm back at you again with another Lorcana video. We are in spoiler season, and today, in this video, I'm going to give you two cards that you have never seen before in Disney Lorcana, but I am not alone. With me in the building today, I have Radio All-Star and top player RMB, and we're going to discuss some never-before-seen cards. We've safely navigated the treacherous waters of the Azurite Sea and landed safely upon the shores of Archazia's island. What are some of the things you're looking forward to in this new set?
I think for me, the biggest thing is putting like hyper specific cards that certain color pairings desperately need that other color pairings can't take advantage of. So like the first thing that I'm going to think about is another type of board wipe in the game. Maybe something that puts all characters in play into their inkwell. I think like if you give the Ruby Sapphire control decks of the format, you know, another board wipe, that's going to be really problematic because that deck's already very, very popular. But if you were to say give it to like a Baja Blast deck or like if we could get some OG set one like Amber Sapphire or even, you know, my favorite Sapphire Steel. If you could give like one of those decks like just some tools to help combat some of the more prevalent decks in the meta, you know, consistently for the last 5 sets, you know, we've just kind of been getting like some small upgrades to the, you know, same kind of block of existing decks, you know, your Ruby Amethyst, your Amber Steel, your Ruby Sapphire. You know, those decks have just kind of been at the top of the food chain for, you know, the better part of a year now. I'd like to see some of the other color pairings that are more underrepresented kind of get some niche things with these dual ink cards that, you know, maybe these other decks can't take advantage of.
And I think that's really cool. You brought the dual ink cards. I thought that was a nice little wrinkle that they added. They also added the vanish keyword.
Brother, that Cobra is crazy. Like when you talk about like, I love like the Chillwind Yeti style cards, just like overstated, like a 3-cost 4/4 is just crazy, crazy, crazy work. I'm super happy that it is an Amethyst Steel though, because like if that card had Sapphire as a color and you got to pair it with Alice, Savvy Sailor, that card would just be absolutely bonkers. Like a 3-cost 4/4 is just crazy work. That's such good stats.
If you guys want to see more of these set 7 spoilers, make sure you get over to the DisneyLorcana.com website. Link's going to be in the description, and you guys can see more stuff like this. It's something about reveal season that I've absolutely loved. Again, make sure you guys get over to the website. You can check all the reveals over there and get down to the comment section. Let me know what some of your favorite reveals are. But R&B, we have some cards that we have to show. Never before seen Disney Lorcana cards. Are you ready to show these to the world right now?
I think I'm ready. I'm pretty ready.
Absolutely. But before we hop in, make sure you guys go ahead and like and subscribe, and letting you guys see these new cards that are coming to Disney Lorcana. The first one that we have is going to be this card. It is called Out of Order. It is a Ruby action 7-cost inkable that says banish chosen character. Very simple, very clean. Okay, it's got some sick artwork. It looks cool. R&B, you're the top player. What are your initial impressions when you see this card, when you look at it? Do you think it can have some tactical implication on the game plan of the competitive field?
The first thing that like my eyes are attracted to is like the art. No, like number one.
Okay.
So we're going into Archazia's island, right? This is technically set 7, and you can see we've got some 7s across the board here, which I think is like kind of thematic. You know,
Yeah.
It's a 7-cost inkable action. It also shows like 7th place, and it looks like who's that down on the ground back there? Is that King Candy?
That's King Candy.
I'm King Candy.
Like that's King Candy like laying on the ground. Like you want to talk about like thematics? Like this is pretty cool. We're in the 7th set. You know, King Candy's coming in 7th place. Looks a little bit upset, a little upsetty spaghetti. But no, let's talk about the actual card itself and like the implications it may have on the meta. I mean, you know, set 6, Azurite Sea brought us, you know, probably one of the best Ruby cards in the game in Maui Shark, the half shark. And you've seen like a lot of these shark decks have like gotten kind of greedy and are starting to play one of cards like Dragonfire and Let It Go so that they can have these recurrable single target, you know, removal answers. You know, once they get to a certain point in the game where they can like be prepared, they're going to then reestablish to the board. Maybe you overcommitted because you're a little bit lower to the ground deck. They would rather use, you know, single target removal to remove, you know, maybe the thing that you're top decking each turn. So like Dragonfire obviously costs a little bit less than this card does, but it comes with the downside of it being uninkable in a deck that has a high density of uninkables already. You know, Ruby Sapphire is still a ramp deck. You're still getting to these really high ink totals. You know, I could see, you know, potentially a situation where like maybe you're cutting the one of Dragonfire for a one of Out of Order instead, so that you can have this like inkable Dragonfire that really is only going to come into application in like the later stages of the game anyways, when you have a bunch of ink to play with.
Absolutely. And I think that also maybe even in a wild scenario, maybe there's a world where you can replace a Be Prepared with this card, because like you said, it is inkable. And sometimes you can commit more to the board itself, and then you don't have to worry about wiping out your side of the board when you when you have a Be Prepared in hand. Use this thing, get it back with Maui Half Shark, and you're on your way. So I think this card, it might actually be playable. And like I said, the artwork is very cool. Shout out to Hedvig HS, the artist on this card. I think they have some really cool artwork in the game already, and this is just another addition to that collection. So shout out to them for this beautiful artwork. I think the card is cool. Make sure you guys get into the comment section. Tell me what you think about Out of Order. But I think this card is super dope, and it might see some, it might be able to see some play. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see.
It can see some fringe playability. I think, one of the things that I like about like just cards in general, like not even like specific to Disney Lorcana, but like any card game, I always like flavor text. Like if the flavor text on a card is good, like I'm sold. And like, think about it. You can see kind of like a game system, and it's got, this like, oh no, the game system 6 sign on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of order.
And the name of the card is Out of Order. The flavor text on this is the last thing any gamer wants to see. It's like their favorite video game just being out of order. Like, oh no, I don't get to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
And they break the fourth wall. Like, if I'm a gamer, if I'm sitting there and I got a nice card on the board, banish my character, I don't want to see that. So maybe it's a little double entendre there. I think this card's cool, but I think this next card, R&B, we got two. We got two for the price of one. There's two baldies in the building. Okay,
two balds, two
cards. I mean, you guys are in for a real treat. So now the next card I'm going to show, R&B. I think this card is super cool, and I think you might agree. We have another Ruby action, 3 cost, uninkable. We've got company.
We've got company!
Featuring that Lyle Tiberius work. This card says, ready. All your characters, they gain reckless this turn. They can't quest and must challenge if able. Very simple, very clean. Again, coming in at that rarity. R&B, again, I'm gonna toss it over to you. What do you think about this card? I think this card is playable. I think this card is very playable. I think it's quite dope. What do you think about it from a tactical aspect?
Like, I actually think that this card has some like really, really cool implications given the context of the current meta. Like, one of my favorite color pairings that isn't necessarily the most competitive right now that I think would likely leverage a card like this is Ruby Steel. I think Steel arguably has some of the best 2-drops in the game, and Calhoun Marine Sergeant, Mr. Smee. These types of cards where you're playing them, your opponent's also playing them, and you get to this like weird middle stage of the game where like I'm gonna play another body and I'm not gonna turn any of my dudes sideways and like pass you, and like whoever kind of like flinches first like kind of starts the whole charade. This kind of like gives you the opportunity to really break parity in those matchups specifically, where both of you are playing super efficient, really well statted bodies to the board early on. Either A, you can be on the more aggressive plan where you're like, okay, neither one of us are turning our stuff sideways. I'm going to turn everything sideways, gain some lore, and I'll just restand it. And if you don't have anything exerted, like, then the reckless tag doesn't necessarily matter. Alternatively, this can also be a more defensive card as well, because say your opponent decides, okay, well, enough of the charade. We're not going to stand here and have this standoff. Like, I'm going to turn my stuff sideways. You got to answer what I'm doing. Well, okay, it comes back to my turn. Now I've got options. Right. I can either A, match your quest and then restand everything and then get to challenge into your stuff, or B, I could like take a couple of favorable trades, run a Calhoun into something with only 1 or maybe 2 strength so that, it takes either 0 or only 1 damage, and then just get to restand him again and do it again. I think of cards like Calhoun, my boy Gustav. Also the 3-drop Sisu. Having 4 willpower is like pretty big. Like, the card quests for 2, so I can either quest, ready it, then challenge into something, maybe take a value trade, or I can like challenge into something, ready it again, challenge into another thing. And if you've got a bunch of cards in hand, like, it's banishing anything on your opponent's side.
Absolutely.
Of the board. Like, I really, really like this card just from a design perspective, kind of giving you both an offensive and defensive element. I think this is like exactly the type of design that I like to see in this game.
We mentioned it in the last card as well. I think Maui Half Shark comes to mind. I think having that thing take something down, ready itself, being able to take something out, get this card back if you want to, and do it again the next turn, or Maui Hero to all. So I think this card might actually be playable. I think the artwork is pretty chill too. I just noticed that there are these little guys in the background as well that are coming out of the tunnel. This is from the movie Atlantis featuring Lyle. So I want to give a huge shout out to the artist Isaiah Minsk for dropping this one on us. I think it looks really cool. I like the way the background looks. I like the way the characters look. And also they did some of these cards in the game. So make sure you guys check out some of their other artwork and see where it fits in your favorites. I think this card is quite dope. Uninkable, it's always going to be an issue. You got to be really careful with your inkability slots, but I think this card is, since it's such a low cost, I think it does have some pretty good value. And you might be able to see this thing being played. So look out for We've Got Company. All right. If you guys want to see more of the Bald Menace RMB, make sure you guys get onto Twitter. Follow RMB. His link will be down in the description as well. Any other shout outs you want to give RMB before we wrap this thing up?
Shout out to my teammates, greatest group of guys I know. Shout out to my mom. I love you. Shout out to RMB. She's incredible. Shout out to my bald brother, JDZ. JDZ and RMB, like, come on, that goes together like peanut butter and jelly.
Absolutely. But, well, as always, my fellow Illumineers, it is me, your boy JDZ, and I'm on a quest. Shout out to the real ones. Salute to the OGs. Peace.